Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to discuss 25 do's of home buying. So let me preface this by saying I'm not a real estate agent, I'm not a lender. I am just a normal person that has bought a house twice. I bought one 13 years ago. Again, a few years ago I purchased a home, and I found that the home buying process is really not any different other than the fact that technology has changed. I wish that somebody was able to give me all of the information that I'll be giving today when I purchased my home the first time and even the second time. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I also want to note that this is part one. This is the do's of home buying. Please be sure to subscribe so that you won't miss out on part two, which will be the don'ts. So let's get into it. So number one is do know how much you can truly afford. Please understand that your monthly payments are based on not only principal, but interest, escrow. So what escrow is your insurance, your taxes, and HOA fees if you have those rolled in. Now, if your HOA fees aren't rolled in and you do live in an HOA community, you're still responsible for the HOA. Be sure that your monthly payment is something that you can afford. Even if you're approved for a high amount, you do not want to necessarily hit that high amount. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is make a list and stick to it. Know what it is you want in a home. Those small annoyances that you let slip can become something that you will regret later on. So make a list. Be sure that you have your wants and your needs incorporated in that list and stick to it when purchasing your home. Tip number three, create a goal sheet. Have an idea of when it is you're looking to close. Does it correspond with a birth of a baby? Does it correspond with a new job? Have a goal, have a calendar in mind, have an idea of when you want to close, and try to stick to that. Things will come up, but at least you have a goal in mind. Tip number four, do expect delays. Do know that delays can happen. There could be a natural disaster. There could be anything that happen. Delays are almost always gonna happen. That typical 30 days does not apply to everybody, so please expect delays. Tip number five, do establish a stable and separate bank account. Now, what I mean by this is that you're going to have to provide your bank account statement for at least 6 months, but you want to have a stable account. No overdraft fees, no weird deposits. You want to be able to show that you are a stable person and that you're able to purchase this house without any flaws or any negatives. So you want to have an account that you can take to your lender and say, here, this is my account, these are the deposits, and you want it to be as stable as possible. No weird deposits, just a very stable bank account that you have established specifically for this purchase. Tip number six, join a housing forum. Go online, look for forums of people that are purchasing homes. Look for people that are closing around the same time as you. You'll get a lot of information in these forums. When I was purchasing, I looked up myfico.com. They offer different forums for different types of situations, and I found that that was very helpful whenever I was a little uncertain about something. So be sure to join a housing forum. Tip number seven, do shop around for a real estate agent. Do your research on your real estate agent. Make sure that this is somebody that has a great reputation and has done well in this community. Make sure that they close. Make sure that they have great feedback. Do your research. Go on their Facebook pages. Ask around. Ask friends. But do shop around for an agent. Make sure that you've tried out a couple agents. Maybe that one is not a right fit for you. Shop around. Do your research. But do make sure that you shop around for an agent. Tip number eight. Do shop around for a mortgage lender. Different lenders have different requirements and different rates. Different lenders also work with different types of people with different types of situations. Be sure that you shop around for a lender. You can go to different lenders. Maybe your credit union has a better rate than maybe one of those big national companies. Just make sure that you're shopping around for a rate. You're the customer and your satisfaction matters, so make sure you're doing that. Tip number nine, do shop around for homes outside of your prime location. So you have in mind an area that you want to be in, but sometimes that area is where everybody wants to be. Sometimes if you look just a little bit out, even if it's a mile out, you'll find that the prices and maybe even the home is better suited for you. So do look outside of your prime location. Tip number 10, do get pre-approved versus pre-qualified. This is a very important tip. Being pre-approved means that you've actually submitted documentation that shows where you truly stand. You submitted your bank statements, your credit report, and different information that the underwriter wants to see. Pre-qualification just means that you're able based on general information. Pre-approvals will have you better suited so that you know the amount that you can afford. Are you even going to get approved? It'll give you at least a baseline. And at the same time, real estate agents feel more secure showing homes to somebody that's been pre-approved. So get pre-approved. Tip number 11, do videotape and take photos of your home tours and home visits. When you go out to look at homes, you will be so overwhelmed. It is an exhausting process. And at the end of the day, you won't remember what you saw. You won't remember what garage went to what pool, went to what house, went to whatever. Be sure that you videotape or take pictures. I say videotape your home tour so you have something to refer back to when you have to sit down and determine which home is best for you. Tip number 12, get intel on the neighborhood that you seem to have found your home in. You don't know until you've done research during prime times, rush hour, off times. Ask the neighbors, look on forums, go on Facebook, ask around. You have to do your research on these areas. Just because the home is great and the price is great, sometimes you have to wonder why. It's not until you move into a neighborhood that you realize that that neighborhood is not a good fit for you. So you have to do intel. Ask about the airplanes that are flying overhead. Does this happen every day? Be sure to get intel. Tip number 13, do get a home inspection. This is very important. Not all lenders require a home inspection, but it is in your best interest to get a home inspection and get an inspection by an independent inspector. Do your research. Find someone, not necessarily that your real estate agent has suggested. Maybe family or friends have suggested this person. It is very important that you get your home inspected. There's things that you will not see up front. You need someone that's going to do a thorough inspection to make sure that the house that you're getting is worth what you're paying for. So do get a home inspection, even if it's not required by the lender. Tip number 14, do shop around for a home insurance provider. Home insurance is very important. You want to make sure that you're getting everything in your home insurance that is required by your lender and also for your area. At the same time, you want to make sure that you're not being overcharged. So do shop around. The difference between hundreds of dollars per month can be made right here in your home insurance. A portion of your escrow is your homeowner's insurance. So if it's sky high, chances are your mortgage could be sky high. Be sure to shop around for home insurance providers. Tip number 15, do know the different type of home loan programs that are out there. There's VA, FHA, USDA, and tons of other programs. Be sure to understand how each program works, how it benefits you, and do you qualify. Make sure you're doing your research because this too can make a huge difference on what you qualify for, how much you qualify for, and the area you qualify for. So be sure to do your research. Tip number 16, do your research on home buyer assistance programs. There's tons of programs out there for first-time home buyers, rehab programs, second home buyers. There's tons of programs out there. There's tons of government grants that are out there as well. Make sure that you're doing your research. Do know that there's tons of things that can help you with down payment assistance, deferred loans. There's tons of programs out there, but you're going to have to research it on your own. Make sure you do your research on home buyer assistance programs. Tip number 17, do keep a very close eye on your credit report. You want to make sure that you are monitoring your credit report. Now, please keep in mind that there's different types of credit reports. There's vanity credit reports like Sesame, mysesame.com, or Credit Karma. The one that I found that was helpful was on myfico.com. They have different types of credit scores that different lenders look at. Each credit is a little different, and it's important that you monitor that throughout the whole process and make sure that there's nothing weird that pops up, because if it does, you're going to have to handle it in the middle of this process. So do make sure you're monitoring your credit report. So tip number 18 is do know that there are different types of credit scores. Like I stated in tip number 17, you do need to monitor your credit, but you need to know what you're monitoring. There are different types of scores for different type of lending circumstances. You need to become familiar with those scores. It is important that you know your score, because if you do not know your score, then you may be looking at a score that is very irrelevant for your situation. So do know what score your lender is looking at. Tip number 19, do know that on top of your down payment that could range anywhere from 0%, 3%, all the way up to 20% of the house price, that you need to have on hand an additional 3 to 5% for closing costs. That is something that people do not pay attention to. And I know for myself, I was kind of shocked because I had a VA loan and I knew that I had 0 down payment. But you have to be prepared to know that you have to have at least 5%, well, at least 3%, but to be on the safe side, at least 5% of the house price in order to close. That's something that everybody does not tell you, but on top of your down payment, please have that on hand. Tip number 20, get everything in writing. This is very important. If someone tells you something, get it in writing. Have them sign off on it. Get it in an email. This is very important. As the process goes along, you will find that people have conveniently forgotten things that they've said to you or promised to you. Get it in writing. Very important. Very important. Tip number 21, do read everything you're signing and always keep an eye out for errors. Those errors will come back and bite you in your butt. And if you're not careful when signing things and you're not reading, you will miss something. That could mean the difference between you closing, not closing, or getting a home as is. It is very important that you're paying attention to what you're signing. I know everybody will rush you and say, hey, you gotta get this signed. Hey, you gotta get this signed. Time is of the essence. But you need to read what you're signing and make sure there's no errors, whether it be your name, your address, your social security. Make sure that there's no errors. Tip number 22, do follow up. Do follow up on everything that's supposed to be done. Everybody will promise you due dates, promise you that it's been done, it's been faxed off, it's been scanned. Do follow up and ensure that everything's been scanned. And like I just told you in the other tip, see if you can get that in writing. It is your responsibility at the end of the day to make sure that things are being done. So do make sure that you're following up on things. Everybody's busy, but it's your responsibility to follow up. You following up can mean the difference between closing on time and not closing at all. Tip number 23, do ask questions. Always ask questions. Do not assume. Do not be unclear about anything. It is your responsibility as a home buyer to know everything that is pertinent to you. Do ask questions of everybody. This is something that should be very important to you. Make sure that you're asking questions. If you're unclear about something, make sure that you're getting the right answers. If you're not comfortable with answers, then that's when you want to reevaluate the situation. But it's important that you ask questions so that you know that you're being taken care of. Tip number 24, do attend home buying counseling classes. If they're available in your area, do attend them. These programs are meant to help you know that you can afford your home. They help you to understand the process of buying a home. They just have a wealth of information. People overlook these, but they're very important if you can attend one. They're not very expensive, but they will save you money in the long run. So do attend home buying counseling courses or classes if they're available in your area. Tip number 25, and our final tip. Always have access to a computer, a smartphone, or a smart device, preferably with a PDF scanning app on it. This is important because you could be in the car and all of a sudden they need something that is of the essence. I had that situation happen where we had to have, I believe it was a cashier's check. They needed a scanned copy of a cashier's check. I had it. So I made sure that I took my phone, I had that app on my phone, took a picture of it, and was able to submit it within minutes. It is very important that you get things over to them ASAP. So you want to have access to a scanner, a PDF type app, and email. So you need to always be on the ready. They will call you after hours, and it's important that you have that available. So those were my 25 do's of the home buying process. I hope that you will subscribe, share, comment, and come back for part 2 of the don'ts. So again, thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye!